A couple of weeks ago, the Detroit Lakes Tribune published an article about the donations and where the money from the city-owned liquor store and from the city-owned public utilities go, which I thought was a great article to give people an idea to look at where the money goes here in the city, I should say, for those two entities. Gives people an idea to see if they agree with where the money's going. So let's talk about where some of that money goes. Now, the liquor store and the liquor fund is something the city's always had and been very proud of. It allows them to have a revenue stream of roughly $1 million year to year, which allows them to do a lot of things that maybe a smaller community or a community without the liquor store would not be able to do. A large chunk of that money, over $470,000 worth, was actually transferred to the general fund to help offset the tax burden that citizens are facing. Another large portion of that came out in the form of a loan. Actually, that loan, I believe, actually came out from did come from the Liquor Fund of $375,000. That's for the North Industrial Park, which is something I don't have a problem with either, considering we do need to do some industrialization. In fact, most of the money went to different kinds of loans and programs like that. Only about $67,000 from the particular Liquor Fund was actually, or $69,000, was actually in donations. The largest chunk of that donation is a yearly one, $55,000 that goes to the Detroit Lakes Community and Cultural Center. Now, from everyone I've talked to over the last couple weeks, that portion of the Liquor Fund's money seems to be where people have the most questions. Not only because of the large amount, $55,000, but because it's a yearly amount of money. And if you look at the DLCCC being in operation for 10 years, it's over $500,000 that has been given to the DLCCC from the city's liquor fund in order to stay open. The next biggest donation from the liquor fund happened to be $10,000, which went to the Vets Memorial Park. Love that one too. In fact, things like the Vets Memorial Park is exactly what I think the liquor fund should be used for. Enhancement of the parks and so forth. A lot of people would argue the DLCCC may fall in that same category because it allows people to move here, maybe produces a better quality of life, and lets people stick around longer. But let's face it, the Detroit Lakes Liquor Store has been successful because of one main reason. It's monopoly. It's the only one that's allowed in town. It's the only place you can go within city limits or within 3 miles of city limits and be able to purchase some alcohol beverage in order for you to take home at regular proof, especially the spirit kind. Now, I think the city having the third most profitable liquor store is a good thing if the money is used in the right way, i.e., infrastructure improvements, maybe buying that new fire truck when you need one rather than having to bond for it. Or speaking of bonding for money, maybe you save the money from the liquor store to build yourself a brand new liquor store rather than bonding from it. Things like that. Maybe you use the liquor store money to just do the whole parking lot. The new one behind the new strip malls being built in downtown Detroit Lakes, rather than assess a bunch of that money to the local businesses that are hurting already. There are things the liquor fund can be used for that are great, but I think it needs to be looked at. I got a tough time when we're only given $100 here to $500 there to local clubs and organizations. Yet, when you look at the public utilities, we're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars on beautification of Highway 10. Both are great assets to the city. They provide revenue streams which help the city have an actual better credit rating than the state of Minnesota. But the question is, why are government entities participating in private industry, i.e. the public utilities, i.e. the city-run liquor store? Again, if there was only one mechanic shop allowed in town, only one grocery store, and where they were city-owned, they do pretty well too. They were privately owned, they do pretty well. In fact, what's the rationale to have these things government-run but not others? Now, I know these are laws that go back a long ways from now, or went back many years before now, I should say. But we're living here in the here and now. And we have these revenue streams. And they're supposed to offset the tax burden, yet the tax burden goes up year after year after year. And the city says it's all local government aid's fault. We're losing it. It's the state's fault. Well, this just proves what I've always said. The city has money. It's just, how are they going to spend it?